Okay, we're back live. Welcome back to another episode of Currency Cloud's Superhero Spotlight Series. And today I'm delighted to be joined by Ricky Lee, who is founder and CEO of Sync. Ricky, thanks for hopping on. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Rich. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the invitation.
And you join us from Dubai, am I correct?
Yes, I'm actually over here. I tried to escape COVID for a bit, but it's more business related actually. We are based in UK and Europe, but we are looking at a potential expansion to MENA, and that's what's brought me to Dubai right now.
Listen, let's come on to that and the plans for the company. But why don't we start with maybe a bit of your background and then kind of the elevator pitch of Sync itself.
So I'm Ricky Lee, guys. I'm actually doesn't look it, but I'm half Spanish, half British. I've been living now in the UK, in London, for almost 10, 11 years. Actually, I moved to London, work related, for a new experience to work for the early stages at NatWest and Lloyds Banking Group. And that's when I met the Revolut guys, Nick and Vlad. Joined them at a really early stage as their first, product developer, designer. So yeah, created the whole project from scratch. An incredible experience, back in 2015. It was hard to believe then, coming from Lloyds Bank, that what's known now as a challenger bank could have been done, or the banks would have let us do what we did. I think we led the way. More than TransferWise, and in those days it was Currency Fair. I think they were, one of the top companies back then, trying to innovate on how to exchange currencies on this thing called cloud. It was hard to bring that and have mums and dads understand what that meant. Where was their money being held and exchanged into, right? So yeah, great years. Finalized my days there to actually pursue more the money transfer, the currency, because I'm kind of an expat migrant, half British, half Spanish. My problem was always how to send money back home, and also running a business it's very hard, right? Still today, it's very hard to work with the banks. Compliance is a big problem. Customer support is a bigger problem. The UK, I still think banks are incredible and very good. I've only got good words for them. Spain, if you've lived there and you're born there, you'll have an understanding that banks in Spain are very hard to work with. You're the bad guy every single day. So I think coming to the UK and seeing the two and being able to balance the positives, the negatives. I think that was an incredible experience. That took me to actually develop product much better. So just briefly, I had an agency back in Spain, worked with big companies in the design agency world. So my background is product, cross-border payments, FX, money transfers, payments in general. So that's me, and
then so that's you, and I think it's interesting because you sat on kind of, I guess, both sides, the good and evil of banking, the traditional kind of incumbent NatWest Lloyds. Then you moved to one of the original challengers in Revolut. But why don't we talk about kind of Sync? Because Sync isn't your traditional. It's not just another challenger bank that sprung up, because they seem to, a lot of these banks are springing up all over the place at the moment. But that's not how you position it. So how would you explain what Sync actually is and does?
Yes, Rich, you're so right. It's like going to a shop, buying a donut and getting three, not even two. There's so many of us now. Look, I think what's good, it's everyone brings something different, and I welcome competition in every single way.
Of course, yeah.
And at the end of the day, many of us do very similar things. But that's like, you're walking down the street and you have many clothes shops, many coffee shops. I think coffee in between 2015 to 2020, I think the biggest, growth in a high street was a coffee shop, right? Organic coffee and so on. So it's the same with the challenger bank industry. Everyone does something different. But again, everyone competes against the banks. And what we don't realize is a lot of these youngsters, and I do include myself still being young, but a lot of the youngsters don't understand that the trust issue. Banks have our loyalty, has our trust. At the end of the day, yes, we're fed up of how very slow, expensive they are, and so on. But until you build a bank and you know how to run a bank, it's very costly. The customer in the UK gets absolutely banking for free, and it costs the banks a fortune. Fraud is going up every time. Yeah. Try to go and get a payment off a challenger bank when you get defrauded. Now the banks welcome the payment and you have it instantly in your bank. So, again, that affects us. So I'm building a brand. I've always said, with Sync, I'm building a brand. I'm not building a product. Because with a brand, you have brand attachment, you have service, you have offer. I look at something. I've always said with Nike, right? I don't mind to go to a shop and buy a pair of pants with a Nike, with that slush on, and pay 60 quid for them. I can get the same ones in Primark or some random shop for 10 quid, or buy them online for 5 quid. But guess what? It makes me feel good to spend 60 quid. But then when a challenger bank wants to come and charge 5 quid a month for incredible innovation and security features and payments and instant payments to other countries, we complain. When your banks are charging you and they don't give you absolutely anything. So you have to build a brand behind it. That's why I don't understand why nobody's competing against Amex, for example, an incredible brand, and still it's ancient in their offering. And, there's a lot of room for many of us to come out.
So this is an interesting approach, because I think a lot of the challenger banks, when they come to market, they're addressing a real customer problem, or what they perceive to be a real customer problem. That's how they position themselves. That's how they market themselves, and they'll do it in a very kind of digitally pleasing way. But actually, you're actually from a product background, so interesting that you picked up, I guess, on the branding aspect, the loyalty aspect that's associated to that brand, and that's how you're, I guess, positioning Sync. So actually, sticking on building a bank and sticking on this kind of eruption of challenger brands in the UK and Europe, let's dig in a little bit in terms of what it takes to build a bank in today's environment. And as I said, you were there at the early days of now one of the kind of the biggest brands, actually, and biggest kind of challenges in Revolut. What does it take for yourself, anybody who's looking to start up? It can't be as easy as the market is making it seem, with hundreds of them now. So talk us through that journey.
I think, touching on this point, but going back onto the other point, whose fault is it? Is it the VCs that are just, flushing money into the market in an incredible way? Is it our B2B partners that are accepting anything that comes to them? Is it Visa and MasterCard just onboarding any type of fintech company? That's something to make people think about. Second, how I would see that, I would say, Rich, we have to take care building a bank. I would say more fintech. I don't want to be told off by the FCA. Building a bank must be very hard.
Let's call it a bank. A banking experience, should we say?
Yeah. So it's we all know it as the challenger bank. We still need to be categorized somehow, because when you say to someone, "Oh, I'm building an e-money institution," they have no idea. Rich, I'm building a bank. Oh yeah, I know. Oh, so you do credit card loans, payments, so on. So yeah, look, I always say we need 13 partners. Okay, if you start to look at issuer, processor, your card payments, are you going to offer a card? That's one of the most costly parts of a fintech, is adding, Visa and MasterCard to the equation. Make sure you're well funded, and because money just will disappear in one go. Now, it's not just costly, it's costly for them to run an incredible payment system, right? Someone from the UK that's got a small bank with maybe 5,000 customers just started, and you go and make a payment in Colombia. Wow, that's an incredible network that takes years to build. So finance, you're not building a coffee shop that, with £100,000, you can actually get through for a couple of years. Here, it's very costly, starting from issuer, processor, someone like yourself with Currency Cloud. Also, what's important is the right partner. Okay. A lot of founders I've spoken to, even I remember my olden days at Revolut, we changed partners a couple of times. You learn from that, right? The other important bit is your tech team. We've gone through everything. We've gone through a couple problems here and there with a couple of partners. We've gone through, a bit of problems with a couple of developers that we've had in the past. Not in a bad way, just you need people that are experienced, people that have done this in the past. And it's not that money disappears. Money will never disappear because we use companies established like you guys, Rails Bank, the old Wirecard that's not there anymore.
Interesting. And the partnership angle is something that, if you look at the Sync app, because it's slightly different to, I guess, other challenger brands where you have effectively you've bundled a number of these kind of partners into this experience. Is that correct?
Correct. So, Rich, to give you a bit of an idea of what Sync does, Sync is, we came up with a name quite a few years back now because it was to synchronize your financial life into one app. As a foreigner myself, British, Spanish, I've lived in the US. Thanks to Sync, I could, put my city or my American bank, I won't give names. I can put my 2 Spanish banks, and now I can put in my 2 English banks, plus my Amex and my credit card. And now we're doing something incredible that we are actually really pushing open finance forward, right, with open banking. We have our open banking licenses, meaning that we can actually connect straight to the APIs of HSBC and the banks across the world, whoever's on the open banking network. But it's not our job. And we respect our partners. So what we do, we aggregate the aggregators. So we've aggregated not just TrueLayer, we've aggregated 4 partners of ours.
I think we've just lost you just in mid-sentence there, Ricky. I'm just going to wait for Ricky to come back online. It's a shame because he was in full flow. But we'll just give him a minute. So listen, hopefully we'll get Ricky back. I know he can see me. And whilst we're waiting to get back, so you can find out more about kind of Ricky and what they're doing at sync.money. And I'm sure he'll take some questions kind of when, if we do get him back, then great. Ricky, we can hear you now. It's one of the beautiful problems of this kind of new remote working is Wi-Fi kind of dropping in and out. I think he's just reloading. And now you're just stuck with me, which nobody wants. We've come to listen to Ricky, but unfortunately, I think we've lost him. We'll give him 30 more seconds, and otherwise we'll wrap up. As I said, we can find more about Ricky and Sync at sync.money. That's sync.money.
Rich, can you hear me?
You're back. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry about that. It's
That's okay. Yeah. It's one of the problems of kind of remote working, and and Wi-Fi, everybody kind of competing for Wi-Fi in various co-working spaces, right? But listen, you're in full flow. You're in full flow talking through kind of that aggregator of aggregators and the open banking and what you're doing there.
So so we respect a lot of what our partners do, and that's what's good about the whole fintech industry now. Everyone's doing, one's just data mining, the other one's offering incredible cybersecurity services, the other one's open banking. Now we can connect straight away with the banks, but we know that the banks constantly change their APIs. When you're doing open banking, you're speaking to one bank, they code one way, the other bank codes the other. This one's missing the data stamp, the time or the date. So what we've done, we've aggregated all into one microservice of ours. One API comes out clean, offering an incredible experience to our customers. Soon we'll be now offering over 4,000 banks within our app. Give you an idea, we can offer you Mizuho Bank connected through Sync for all Japanese living within Europe. And that's an incredible experience. That's part of open finance. We wanted to take now open banking and open finance to the next level, because we don't want to be the next Monzo or Starling where we just compete on offering bank accounts and payments. Our idea is, how can we synchronize your bank accounts and your credit cards into one app, help you manage your money, help you tell you, hey, Ricky, you've got your mortgage coming out of Halifax this day, you've got your Netflix coming out your Amex, and you've got so-and-so coming out of these accounts, and you're on £11,000. Oh, by the way, you've got X amount of euros and dollars. Across all your financial life, you've got X. And now, Rich, last is we're connecting part of open finance. The only ones doing it is connecting over 20 exchanges. So you'd be able to connect your Binance or your Kraken, your Gemini into Sync. So you've got your financial accounts, because we see crypto as another way of money, if you want to see it that way, tokens. So now what we're trying to do is leverage and have data help, just enrich data to our end user. So I think it's an incredible experience so far.
So it's a super app of financial services, and I can see huge amounts of relevance, even if you're just in one country. But I think a lot of your kind of demographic and your target base will be customers like yourself, who are international by nature, expats who not only have a few accounts in their home country, but have finances everywhere. And I think that's a really interesting project to undertake. We're just over on time, but listen, I think it's been great talking to you as always. Super excited for what's coming out and what you're doing. Where that mindset of kind of building your Sync brand. Where can people find out more about Sync and what you're doing?
So you can go to the App Store, put Sync or sync.money. You can also go to the website, go to sync.money, not .com, just the new type of domain, sync.money. You'll see a lot of changes now in the next month. I think we've kept it very secret. Unfortunately, we've been, when we had to actually launch, it was during COVID time. So we've just kept it quiet, put our heads down and kept on developing and designing, getting a product. We're offering business accounts soon. So we're already testing. So we're very, very happy on moving forward with Sync.
Fantastic. Well, never waste a good crisis, as they say. And it sounds like you've been really, really busy over the last kind of couple of years. Wish you all the best, Ricky. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much, Richard. Take care then.
Okay.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.